In this video, we're going to talk about 5 myths of becoming a great trader. If that sounds interesting, stay tuned. Hey traders, a very warm welcome to you. Okay, 5 myths about becoming a great trader. Let's go. And by the way, add your myth that you think there's a myth in the comments section below and I'll answer you. Okay, so number 1, intelligence level. There's a bit of a myth out there, and okay, I think these myths probably apply to your average Joe in the street as well as traders. Most traders who are in the business like you and I know that these probably aren't true, but a lot of people perceive that you've got to be very, very clever to be a trader. And in actual fact, in my experience, the super intelligent guys really struggle, because they overthink it. They want to know why the price is moving, why it's doing this, why it's doing that. And they need a reason, they need to justify something that's happening. And the true answer is, man, supply demand is out of balance. People are paying more and more and more for it because they believe it's more value than the sellers do. That's why it's going up. And that's it. You know, there's no, like, well, it must be earnings, it must be news, it must be this. Not necessarily, you know, that, and sometimes they really struggle with that because they've come from an environment where perhaps, you know, they've analysed stuff really excessively, and that has set them in good stead. So intelligence level, what I do find is people who are street smart, people with common sense are the guys who make, and guys and girls who make the very, very best traders. You know, I know guys who are very kind of aware and self-aware and understand how everything works and just accept that is what it is. They don't overthink things, they keep it simple. I'm not saying these guys are unintelligent by any means, but traditional kind of academic intelligence versus kind of life intelligence, those are the ones that do very well. Now, of course, if you're going to go into a quant fund, it's a different thing. You need a PhD, you need kind of experience with coding, and that's a different skill set. I'm just talking about someone who literally risking money to make money by, you know, gambling, betting, whichever word you want to use. Speculating is the word we prefer to use, but ultimately they all reasonably apply on the direction of an asset. And that's what I'm talking about when it comes to, you know, trading. So intelligence level, no need to be academic about it, but having a kind of common sense about you is more the truth. So let's get rid of that myth. You don't have to be super intelligent. Number 2, good at maths. You know, this is something that people always say, you must be really, really good at maths to be a trader, or maybe you get it yourself. It's complete nonsense. You don't need to be good at maths at all. If you're trading, market making, options or something, you are going to have some mental arithmetic. And also, you are going to have to kind of have a brief idea of where you are, your position is, your position size, roughly speaking. If you've got, you know, 10,000 shares of this and it's priced at that, what's your exposure, where's your stop? So you can roughly know where you are in the right kind of ballpark, but you don't need to be very accurate with it. You know, the myth of, you know, having to be able to program all this, do this stuff in your mental arithmetic in your head very, very accurately is not true. You know, the skill set comes in with recognizing when there's an opportunity in the market, not so much as, you know, drilling down into the numbers. So that's a bit of a funny myth that, and really I always get a bit surprised when people keep saying, oh, you must be good at maths for that. It's like, well, you do work with numbers, but, you know, most of the legwork's done for you, right? Okay, number 3, you've got to have lots of money, or you have got lots of money. Again, couldn't be further from the truth, right? You can start trading with a few £100, $300, whatever. You can work your way up, you can prove your skill. And if you're good, at the end of the day, even if you don't build an account up to a decent size, if you're good, there are many firms out there who will take your track record and will back you. They'll say, hey, you know what? You are doing good stuff with your few £100, your few £1,000 or whatever. Here you go, here's some more money, we'll have a cut of that. So you don't have to have lots of money to be a good trader. And actually, a lot of very good traders I know are very happy at the level they are. So they're not millionaires, they're doing very nicely, they're just got their own little specific thing, they're adding a little bit of money, whether that's for an extra holiday or pays for this or pays for that, and they've gone to the level they want to and they don't want to go any further, and it suits them. So you have this thing of, you know, if you're a trader, it's got to be, you know, a multi-millionaire and stuff, and of course there are a few, as there are with every profession, but then of course there's a lot who are below that, who are sitting there doing quite nicely. And even there's guys down right at the sort of bottom end of the rung financially who are still doing well as traders. They're still making money and doing what they want to do with it, and they just found their level. So lots of money, again, we've got rid of that myth, and you don't need lots of money, as you know, to get started. You can get started with a lot. Number 4, risk seeking. Everyone thinks you're an animal for risk and you just always take risk, and, you know, oh, you're always looking for the risk in everything. You've got to take the risk. Okay, I do accept the fact that you have to enjoy and appreciate risk and understand, and I think actually more likely you have to understand it and appreciate what you're risking and the reward you're getting. And yes, you can't be completely shy of risk. If you're shy of risk, you'd never come into this in the first place. It's definitely not a risk-free venture, is it? There's a lot of risk on the table in terms of time, in terms of capital, all those kind of things. But are we really aggressively risk-seeking? Sure, some guys are, and some guys swing for the fences and get away with it, ultimately get killed. But in reality, it's almost the opposite. It's a case of the risk is always there. It's finding a reason not to take that risk, not to take the trade. Is everything lining up for me? Where is my risk? Where is my risk? Where is my risk? And being the manager of risk as opposed to just seeking risk. Because ultimately, if we're just risk seeking, we just go long on dollar before non-farm payrolls or short on Apple before earnings. And that would just be pure risk, uncontrolled risk, and we'd either be right or wrong. And you're never going to be a professional trader on that. So risk seeking isn't strictly 100% true, is it? It's kind of a little bit of a myth, but it's a little not. So the final thing is, to be a good trader, it's full of young men or young males. And actually it is. There's a lot of young men trading. It's the typical demographic, and men specifically as well, and young men, because a lot of young men want to make a lot of money. They like the kind of idea of trading, and that's where the majority come in. However, studies have shown, and from my own experience of seeing this as well, women make great traders, better than men. Sorry guys, sorry gents, that's the way it is. For whatever reason, the aggression, the ego that men have, the testosterone that goes into trading, I've got to be right, is just something that doesn't work for them. However, when women are going in and they just kind of got a different approach to trading, I'm generalizing, of course people are different, I'm generalizing here, but generally speaking, women make better traders than men. So these young men who are kind of going in and supposedly the ones that are making all the money, yes, because that's the demographic that attracts it. And of course, by nature, if you have the most people there, you're going to get a few that are the top, because just purely by the way it is. But in actual fact, if you were to take a cross section of men and women would make better traders. And let's talk about the age thing as well. We're talking about age thing here. Yes, of course, younger men are involved in it. A lot of older guys coming in, they're a little bit more mature about how they approach their trading. And I've found this can work in two ways. One of two ways. One is that they're more mature in it and understand how the world works, and kind of, just know that they're not a know-it-all and find their own little niche and end up carving a nice little niche for themselves. Or two, they're so stuck in their ways, they've had great success and they can't kind of accept the whole thing of loss and not understanding it and putting the effort in and getting the reward as they have done perhaps for all their life in their business or their corporate career. So that's interesting, and that applies obviously for men and women. So then the question becomes, who is the best trader? If you could pick one, would it be a young man, young woman, older man? Which is going to be the best? I would say, if statistically speaking, a female is likely to be a better trader, young or old. I think it's going to depend on your personality. I don't think you can discriminate between the two. But I think that's quite interesting, because the myth is young men are involved, young men are the guys, and actually there's a lot of women out there who are making a lot of money. They're just keeping it quiet. They're not bragging about it. They're not driving around in fast cars and all that kind of stuff. So 5 myths, guys. Let me know your myths below. And as always, good trading. Take care. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.